Right. And we are going live here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's introduce our players spawning in the southeast position as the red Protoss. May not have had the largest name going into the biggest fan base, but he certainly will now. It is Inori. Give it up. And on the southwest side is our pink Zerg, the Foreigners' last hope here at the IPL 3. Give it up for Millennium Stephano.
And Inori 2-1 MC, 2-0 versus Huck, and now this incredible result here, and really showing that in Korea there are so many players that nobody knows about that can come out and unleash results like this. The STC as well, I don't think anybody really expected that. And we'll have to see what he can do here on this map. He has thrown that pylon down, so we'll be looking probably for a Forge expand here. But he is going to scout early and scout the first location. He may even actually decide to throw down the Nexus first here, as there's no early spawning pool. He can definitely get away with it, so...
Yeah, I would not be surprised either. I mean, as we've seen a lot of players, Protoss players on this map go with that sort of a build, especially upon a successful scout there right off of the bat. As he's going to see everything that's going on, know that he's droning up to the hatch. In fact, he might be able to just do the dance here, the probe dance, to stop this, which means that Nexus first would be even more beneficial to him. But here comes the drone headed on down. And again, just going to continue to do the dance, try to delay this hatchery as long as he can.
The problem with Nexus first, though, and even Forge Expand first, is it's really hard. You actually say, when you do that, you say, okay, Zerg, do whatever you want for 8 minutes, because there's nothing that you can do. And that's why I really was impressed by Kiwi Kaki's play, is that he was going for these double zealots to kind of change it around. It's more like, I can't do anything, but oh wait, I'm going to do this. And it caught a lot of players off by guard, and it caught Stephano as well. But he did start to react to it. But now we're going to have to see, what will he be doing? Will he be going for another execution-based build? And oh, he does get the hatchery down now. Gas has been taken as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Stephano just tried to play exactly the same as game one, but just make sure that there is not a pylon really close to his base that he could lose really fast.
Yeah, and I want to point out some impressive timing there by Inori, and I feel just like really, really good game sense. He blocked the hatch long enough to where he thought, okay, I think he's probably put down or spent the money that he would have spent on the hatch, and then went back in, got another scout inside the main of Stephano, and then when he felt like his opponent would have that 300 again, he was right back there at the hatchery. So just some really good game sense coming out from Inori. And going back to your comment about a coach, another thing that I would kind of expect a coach/player to have is just some solid game sense.
And I'm actually looking at this, and he built a second pylon and a cannon before the gateway, which really does delay his tech at the end of the day, because the gateway's not down fast, the cyber core won't be down fast. So I don't think he can really do an execution-based play, because it's going to come a lot later than it would do regularly. So he may be gearing up to just play or take a really fast third here, maybe even go into robotics facility. So we'll have to see what he does decide to do. Though, speed has been upgraded now and taken off gas as well, so he's going to be really pumping his economy, probably looking for that third base. And at least he has eyes on the probe this time. Though the probe did go out and was out of range for Stephano's vision. So he's checking around with that single link just to make sure that there isn't a pylon anywhere.
And that's a safe thing to do. Anytime you have idle units and we see too many players just fall for the lack of scouting, not really knowing what could be out there, whether it be a proxy or something to that effect, even a pylon that may be used for warp-ins later on. And note Stephano does have this Overlord in the back of the base, so we'll be able to kind of count, get a good idea about how many probes are coming out, and there is that fast third coming out from Stephano. And
I'm kind of questioning Stephano. I'm not too sure why he has Overlords on the main and the natural. I mean, he could have got really good positions, or he still can, to be honest, just to the left side of Inori's base, so he can go in from different directions to actually find what is going on. Because on Shakura's Plateau, Protoss players like to hide their tech in many different locations, so you'll see Zergs many times going in with multiple Overlords. And we do have a single Zealot coming out, and I don't even think, it was spotted, but he's got a Queen, he's got a couple of Lings, it's fine. And I think the Zealot maybe wants to go check if the third base is up there, but a second Zealot is out as well. Maybe put on a bit of pressure here. We do have +1 on its way, and the Chrono Boost has just been thrown into the Nexus here, so I think we are just going to see a rather passive game from Inori here. And we heard earlier when he was asked, how do you, what's your style? How do you train? How do you play? How did you beat Huck? He's like, well, I actually like using my chrono boost on my Nexus to get a lot of probes out in a really decent economy.
I mean, again, just like a different sort of attempt at philosophy with the Protoss race, and every single player, every single race or situation tends to play a little bit different. It's one of the unique things about StarCraft 2 and the styles that exist within each of the races as well. But I think Inori definitely showing us some different things and some different approaches to playing Protoss, as those Zealots were cleaned up, and the third base is now up for Stephano. So is getting his lair, droning up heavily at this point, getting 7 more drones, taking a quick look at the screen. And you know, those chrono boosts, you can see just how beneficial they actually are to Inori as he's keeping up with the Zerg player, 46-46, and especially coming from Stephano, a guy who we've seen drone up at ridiculous rates, at one point being, 30 drones ahead of his opponent in various matchups, but he's definitely staying on top of that. The +1's about to finish, the Warp Gate research is about to finish. We've got a Twilight Council going down right now for Inori.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he is going to be going for kind of a push very, very shortly here. And Stephano still hasn't really scouted, though he does have a layer, so he can make an overseer to go in if need be. And Stephano's already building units. He knows his timings well. 8 minutes 30, he knows that an attack could be coming very, very shortly here. And he is building 11 roaches, but I don't think he can really, or Inori can really push out here. I mean, he's very defensive with, sentries and zealots, are horrible against the composition that we're seeing from Stephano. So he may be just gearing up to take at third base very, very shortly. But as you said, the Twilight Council is finishing up now. And I'm interested to see what he's doing, because he may be trying to go for Blink, but he doesn't have any Stalkers yet.
Yeah, and there is Blink. He's just, he's just waiting up. He's definitely playing as a prepared Protoss and gearing up with his attacks early on, getting with that Forge going down. And then, of course, in a situation like this where he's going to get Blink far ahead, and here we have a bunch of Zealots coming out.
Smells what's going on, DJ.
Yeah,
he sees
absolutely.
the pylon, he sees the low unit count, realizes, and this is what Stephano like to do. He will always attack a third base when he knows that a Protoss player is trying to do it. He will never let you do it. And in the production tab, as you can see, many units are coming out now, and he's preventing that third base, which I really do think, which was Inori's style that he was trying to go for, this early third base and play macro style, but Stephano not letting him do it. And he's only at 47 drones, and he's going to push up now. He definitely won't be able to break this, and he could very easily go up to 70 drones now. He has a good comfort amount of units, and will keep the Protoss inside his base.
And we're going to have +2 weapons coming out right now, and there was a lot of units made there, but it looks like Stephano going back to drones now, going up to 13 after several injects, getting his 4th base in the northwest, and it could have just been a posturing position there to just try to force out as many units as he possibly could from Inori, and he's continuing to get those out. He still thinks that this is inevitably coming. Meanwhile, just note the Overlord there dropping creep and going to kind of prevent that from happening, and there is most of that army moving out. The Roaches do not want to engage without the rest, and actually they're going to go in and split in order to avoid the force fields, and only 2 of the Roaches do go down there, so baiting out some energy from the sentries.
And this probe can't get out, I don't think. I think it's stuck in the main base, so I'm not even sure he can go build a third base, so it might automatically throw Inori to go ahead. Is it going to be able to get out here? Okay, yeah, it can get out here, so it is going to go ahead and build this Nexus now. And at the same time, he's got +2 attack. He can put a bit of pressure back onto Stephano, but he's already had the timing window. He's back up to 65 drones. He's building a lot of units right now. His upgrades are flowing quite nicely. And we do see the robotics bay go down, but these units, he has a lot of force fields though, so he should be able to hold off against this attack.
Yeah, there are a lot of Lings on the way in addition to what is here. Oh, the Roach is actually on the inside of the force fields. The Lings do swing around, but it's the reinforcing Lings that are not there to help out in this battle. A lot of those Stalkers in the back, but most of the Zealots and the Sentries are going to fall. In fact, all of these Stalkers now on the run, and this is looking like a pretty good attack here for Stephano.
Yeah, really cost-effective attack here for Stephano, doing a lot of damage here, and I think there's just simply not enough Stalkers here. These Roaches are doing a lot of damage. 30 more Roaches in production. Lings coming from behind the back as well, but with Blink, Stalker, Micro, he's going to be able to hold on. He's going to cannon up as well. But like I mentioned before, really nice defense by Inori, but he is going over to Colossus now, which I don't think Stephano is mentally prepared for right now.
He's not, and that was also one of those engagements, Apollo, where and there's a nice block with the 2 gateways, but one of those engagements where if the Lings would have gotten in, I think he could have gotten just a great surround on those Stalkers. That could have been completely different, but the force fields of Inori should certainly be commended for being able to stop this. It looks like he's going to attack in from the other side. Again, not giving very good surface area to those Lings.
It's
so
only
not
a single
as effective.
force field, DJ Weed. That's it.
Yeah, he is, but what is he going to... I mean, the Stalkers with the blink going back, no reinforcing units from the backside. I mean, he's going to drop this Nexus for sure, but it's just going to be just an in and out thing, and that's exactly what he plans to do, is he will retreat. There's the blink, though. I think he's going to force the engagement, realizing, hey, I either lose this and do some damage, or I just lose it, and he is going to finally get out of there.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of roaches backing up. He's got a spine crawl as well. Spine crawl's in the center of the map as well. But I'm really getting nervous for Stephano because I'm just looking at his vision. He has no idea about this Colossus switch, which has been hidden quite nicely. Thermal Lance, though, hasn't been upgraded yet as he's kind of struggling on gas. I mean, he's going very upgrade heavy, almost at +3 attack now, but he hasn't had this third base yet, and it is 15 minutes, so it's rather late now, and a lot of roachlings, and now we have the infestors coming out very, very shortly as we see the pathogen glands being researched, and Stephano playing quite nice here, to be honest.
So we've got Inori now taking control here of the center. But Stephano being fairly relentless here with his ongoing attacks. He's certainly been the one who's tried to set the pace of this game. Oh, Colossus getting dangerously out of position there, but he does go back up onto the high ground. The Observer will move forward to get fair vision of when this particular army is moving out, and some more spine crawlers being basically drawing a line across the map saying you will not get past here at all, do not cross. And, you know, it's a smart thing to do. It really makes the Protoss player hesitate to just attack directly into something like that.
And you guys remember Kiwi Kaki's game, Stephano does like to play with his Broodlord style, likes to sit back and use it, so he'll be definitely going for high very, very shortly here, but he does need his gas in to just continue with his upgrades, get the Infestors out as well for attacks like this, which is coming out for Inori now, and Stephano does have a lot of Corruptors here. He will be able to engage and take these down rather fast.
Oh, and he snipes the single Colossus. Those Corruptors will take out Colossus number 2, no problem. So now it's a question of whether or not he's going to be able to move forward with these roaches, and without the force field, Stephano does manage to break that. All the Colossus are down, but he is not going to chase it out. In fact, a couple of Stalkers just tricking the roaches there, thinking they're going one way, decide to go the other way. These Stalkers up on top, using the Corruptors there for vision, and there is some Infestors out as well too. So what does Stephano do from here?
Well, he's gone up to Hive now. He's got a Lings in production. The fungal growth is preventing these Stalkers from blinking backwards. Stalkers are stuck on the higher ground, actually, over there. And Lings are making short work of these Stalkers. All the Chronobles going into the gateways now. And this third base is under a bit of pressure. I doubt it will go down, but probes are in threat.
Yeah, and the Lings are going to go after the probes. No, he's going to have to pull this back. Actually, Stephano kind of all over the place with his units, as the Stalkers from Inori did come from the top area down from the cliff. And now, you know, suddenly Stephano, who looked like he was in a commanding lead there, is now down about 20 supply.
Nori did do a good job, though. He didn't lose any probes there, which is the most important thing, and Stephano did lose a lot, as you just pointed out. The Hive is on the way. A second Spire has been put down as well, so he can continue to upgrade his Broodlords while going to the greatest Spire on the other one. And more Roaches and Infestors. And Stephano is very content on sitting on 4 bases, on 8 gases, because when you have 8 gases coming in, you're going to be able to produce the amount of Broodlords he wishes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he took that north base very, very shortly, so he can just get even more gas income. As you can see, he's kind of struggling for gas at this current time.
He is, and you mentioned it earlier, but I mean, also his Colossus count, he's also feeling like, I need force fields in these engagements, like not having the force fields come out and not really trying to make this army as ineffective as possible is hurting Inori in some of these engagements. So he's having to split his gas a little bit between the Colossus numbers and, of course, those sentries and the Stalkers as well. He moves forward with the Observer, going to snipe off a couple of tumors here, and a quick blink out will save those guys. Up in the northwest, we have this base up with the Spore Crawler, Spine Crawler combo, and another hatchery to help pump out units, and here another hatch going down. So really Stephano just wanting to take his side of the map, get up to max and continuing to just trade armies.
Wow, this is really good for Inori to actually get this this base at the north uncontested. It was, you know, very simply put down. And when the pylon and the cannons are there, if he throws down even just an extra pylon here to make sure that it is safe, it's going to be ultra safe and it's not going to be able to be penetrated whatsoever. And then it's basically an easy access to the north base as well, so he can continue to mine on 3 bases basically all the time. As his main base is mined out now, he will want to go ahead and transfer. Even the natural's getting very low as well. So this is it's looking pretty good for Inori now. His army's getting big, and I wouldn't even be surprised. Yeah, we do actually see the Templar archives going down, so we can feed back onto these infestors, and even a Stargate switch very, very shortly to start the combat these Broodlords and so on. Especially if you can feed back onto the infestors and then really use the air to combat the majority of this force that Stephano has.
So +3 melee attacks coming out for Stephano. 7 Broodlords being morphed over here on the side. Burrow is also coming behind that 4th expansion. We also have a 5th base up for Inori here in the northeast corner as well. So, I mean, literally, you said that players like to split the map on this one. That's exactly what is happening. And do we see a Warp Prism coming out?
Yes, we do. We see a Warp Prism coming out. And this is how you need to play against Broodlords, because they are so slow. You need to be dropping the south side, the north side. And at the end of the day, when you've got +3 attack, Spine Crawlers are not going to do anything against a bunch of Zealots coming in, especially when you've got a considerable gateway count as well, which is actually not that high. I mean, I'm looking at it, it's only at 7.
And the Broodlords are a mini here. I think it's just an angle of engagement that we are seeing Inori go for. Some good feedbacks going down on the Infestors. The Broodlords trying to get forward. That means all the Templar are going to be in the back. But some quick moves there, and the Colossus try to take down those Broodlings as best as they possibly can.
And yeah, going back to the gateway, 7 is incredibly low. That needs to be ramped up immediately, because look at the resources. He's banking up so much, but he can only build 7 units at a time to reinforce this. And Stephano's production is incredible. Look at how many hatcheries there are. There is this Zealot into the main base, as you can see now, getting cleaned up. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got a second. Oh, look at this actually, DJ. Wait, hold on about that. He's building 3 Stargates at once now to start this transition over into Void Rays, so we can start to combat this late game army from Stephano.
Yeah, and he really needs to do that right now. Now, there's nothing that Stephano can do to handle. There it is. The Corruptors finally come over to get rid of that. Meanwhile, Inori has just been a big pest, just a huge problem over here for Stephano, attacking this base and then coming back down, attacking this base, forcing more and more Spine Crawlers out, which does make it also more difficult for the Zerg army to engage as well. And here we're going to see them swing around this side once again. And even though there are quite a few Spine Crawlers there, there's the ranged Colossus that can move into position and begin to take out those defensive, also sitting on the top.
8 more Broodlords, DJ Wheat.
Wow.
8 more.
That's exactly what happened in the Kiwikaki game. Remember, it was all about the retention of those Broodlords, and that is so many. So, I mean, getting those, we got another Warp Prism coming out, already air weapons being upgraded. So Inori is getting ready for a massive transition.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if he hits all the feedbacks onto the Infestors, and there isn't, these units do get fungal growth now, and he needs to retreat out of there. He doesn't really want to fight against these Broodlords.
Oh, some great storms coming out, even though all of them... Oh, and a nice Archon morph there as it was going down. It is going to fall. But anyway, with the Templar getting caught there in the middle, he does still make use of them. The problem is that all that's left here is pretty much Broodlords, and we have another warp in here. And that is a serious warp-in. We talked about this early, Apollo, where, you know, these late-game warp-ins into the Zerg main base can be really rough.
And another big engagement here. Fungal growth going down on a lot of units. Good feedbacks, but there are just too many Broodlords. There are so many. He shouldn't really be poking around like this. Maybe he's trying to clean up a bit of supply, which would make sense, so he can start to really increase the Void Ray count. And at the same time, though, this Void Ray switch is going to be so deadly. He's increasing the upgrades on them as well. Currently at +1. Will want to start +2 as he throws down a Fleet Beacon, which he should be doing very, very shortly. The problem is, though, like I said, the best way to fight against Stephano is if he can nail the feedbacks, and I keep saying it, and then the Void Rays come in. There's literally not enough Corruptors. There's only 4 Corruptors. Stephano is maxed out. He's not going to have any more Corruptors than that unless you start sacrificing units. And we could even see a complete turnaround in this game, and Inori could take it very easily.
Yeah, and I mean, the sad thing about it from Stephano's point of view is that he has not scouted this portion of the base. So, I mean, I have to believe that a player like this is going to know, okay, probably is not going to ignore my Broodlord count, right? So what is he physically doing, or what is he mentally thinking in order to, in order to combat this? And I think you're right. I mean, it is all about the infestors.
Well, if the Warp Prism's not working, I guess you can use a Colossus, which has been waypointed over there. It's not actually been used for harassment. It was actually waypointed because of the Warp Prism. But Stephano is moving through the middle of the map now with so many Broodlords. He actually has an incredible one, the highest count I've ever seen. Warp Prism at the north side though, DJ Wait. He may be able to warp in some DTs very shortly. 20 seconds away. He's just going to warp in a couple of Zells to begin with.
But that's got to be a threat that is going to be a devastating one. Of course, Stephano does have a lot of these Spine Crawler, Spore Crawler combinations, which, at your base, it's always a good thing to have, at least for some detection. Queen is going to go down here, and, the DTs could be coming in next. A shield upgrade going down here, and there the Warp Prism is going to fall to those Corruptors.
And I don't even think there's enough High Templar. There's only 6, and there's a lot of Infestors out there. And as you guys are cheering, Mothership is on the way, and +2 attack weapons, but fungal growths, DJ Wheat.
Oh my gosh, huge fungals going off, and the Templar not able to feed back all these guys. There's still plenty of energy left. In fact, some more. The Storm's gonna force all these units back. He needs to get the fungals down on these Void Rays. The Void Rays still, though, have a lot of health left, but there's like no ground army. The problem is there's not enough Corruptors to deal with this, and these charged up Void Rays are gonna do some serious damage.
20 Corruptors in the production tab right now are going to clean that up. That is a lot, and he has a lot of money banked up, and these Void Rays are instantly going to go down, as well as this Colossus. And Mothership is going to get sniped as well, and all of a sudden, oh my god, I'm scared about all this Colossus and Void Rays about to go down, because I'm sure they will. There are so many Corruptors coming, and all of a sudden Stephano has lost a lot of minerals because he spent so much now, and here they are going to go down. Corruptors are faster than Void Rays as well.
Yep, and the Void Rays are like, oh no, it's not good, as more and more Corruptors going to meet up with there, and that means the air threat is going to be thwarted. The big news, though, is that Stephano, though, sitting in a position where if he could push forward enough, you could start to siege these other bases. Now we've got the Stalkers moving forward, and the Mothership is going to be popping pretty soon here. The Broodlords are going to move forward. There are a lot of Void Rays spread out all over the place, but gosh, that Corruptor count is oh so high.
Oh, it's so high. I mean, he needs to go back into Blink Stalkers to capitalize on this, but he doesn't really have the gateway count, as we talked about before. It's incredibly low, and Stephano is steamrolling right now, and there is not much here that I can see Inori to do to pull this back. Even with that Mothership, which is now in the main base, he doesn't have any energy for any of the spells.
So many Corruptors out, as we have almost an exclusively air army by the Zerg. Only a few Roaches and Infestors just complementing this composition. And there is the Mothership. Is there any detection?
It's gonna get one-shotted though, so I don't think it matters. +3 on Corruptors, son. They're pretty good.
We don't need any detection. And there it is. What do you do here? Everything's falling. Psycor gone. We're going to power down these gateways. I think there's only one thing to do.
Press the GG button, because
F10N.
F10N as well. And Inori is going to lose this game now, no doubt about it. There are so many Broodlords, even without the Corruptors. It's just too many Broodlings, instantly killing all these Stalkers. And Stephano stays composed, stays sharp, and is going to pull back this series to 1-1. And we will be seeing another game from Stephano here.
We are last-minute DTs, just trying to make something happen, only wishing that they could fly as the production goes down piece by piece here inside the base of Inori. The Corruptors want to put their flag into the ground over here and stake their claim. DTs going out on the field are literally the only defensive force that Inori has, or I guess even at this point, offensive force. But the bank is looking really good there for the Zerg. He's got plenty of gas, which at this point in the game, it's probably going to be harder for him to get, so he is sitting okay there. The main Nexus goes down, but look at this.
Drone's about to kill DTs, which is pretty sick over on the left-hand side.
There it is.
But
GG! Stephano staying alive.
And it's really hard to balance, DJ Wheat. Who has the advantage going into the next game? Is it the guy that has the choice of the map, or is it the player that's got the momentum? And that is what we're going to have to decide as we go into this third map, which I cannot wait to see.
That's a great question. I think that it depends on the players, depends on the matchup, depends on the map. But, you know, Stephano handled that very, very, very nicely.
Yeah, and we'll be going into the third match very, very shortly here. And I think that Inori's going to choose a map that's kind of based around execution-based build. He's already stated that he's a coach, so, and as you pointed out as well, you know, when you're a coach, your mechanics are not quite there, which I don't think we kind of saw that. I really missed the gateway count there from Inori here, and it would have helped out switching back over to Stalkers, but we'll have to see how his play is going. And if you just look at his record in this tournament, PvP, PvP, and then an execution-based build in game 1 against a Zerg. So all of his styles have been very fast, very fast wins as well. And in PvP, you don't really need that stronger mechanics to play that game.
Yeah, and the whole concept of an exclusively air army coming out as well for the Zerg. I mean, he had the resources banked in order to bring out all those corruptors, so it was a correct response from the Protoss. It was just that Stephano, his macro was so phenomenal that it was like, great, money dump, corruptors, win game.
I mean, when Stephano gets at that point, how do you beat him? It's really difficult.
Yeah,
and the map choice Daybreak, which is pretty good choice, I think, because Stephano, I really don't think he's practiced Daybreak that much, because like he said in an interview as well, if we quote him from there, is that he plays 3 hours a day and he streams it, which is ladder practice, so he doesn't play Daybreak. Right,
yeah, Daybreak is one that you really have to, you know, practice outside for the reasons you said. And then the question is, well, what kind of practice are you getting? One thing to be able to practice with high-level teammates that are also competing in these competitions, another thing to, I don't know, who else are you going to play against, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to search for that play and that experience on maps like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only practice like ladder is not going to be kind of giving you the information, the knowledge you need to play on Daybreak. And another quote from FXO as well is, Lucky said that everyone in the FXO house plays at least 8 hours a day, and they're succeeding recently because the amount they play. They train hard, and Daybreak has definitely come up because it's in a GSL, and we'll have to see how this will go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to be hopping into game 3 here in just a moment. Remember, guys, thanking all the sponsors here that have made IPL 3 a possibility. You're all great, and the Samsung contest continues as the minutes tick away. The time to tweet is going down. Remember, we're giving away a Samsung 950 3D monitor every day here. Include pound Samsung 950 series in your tweet. Again, you can put Apollo and I in there. We'll try to help out and retweet with you guys. So remember, pound Samsung 950 series. I saw Milkus out there trying to get himself a monitor as well, so you can like triple translate going on. So thank you, Samsung, for supporting esports, supporting gaming, and sponsoring the IPL.
Indeed. And are we going to a commercial before this one goes off?
I think we're going to go to a commercial break, guys. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. When we come back, the deciding matchup between Stephano and Inori coming up next.